Okay, homies, here it is. The big scary coming out video. Thinking about making this video for a while. I don't know. I just really like being completely open and authentic and myself all of the time, and I feel like that helps people to realize that they can be open and authentic and be themselves as well. Um, at least that's what people tell me it helps them with. So that's what I'm gonna do. I wanna be as real as possible, and I also just really like sharing my experiences, and I like talking things out. I like having a video to go back to and look at. When I'm old. So let's do this. Coming out can be incredibly scary. It can be something that gives people so much anxiety that they never decide to do it. People die with their secrets. People die with their feelings and with ideas that they never express, or feelings that they never get to express. And it's just something about the fear of not being accepted that makes people shy away from truly living fully. And I completely understand that, because acceptance is really important. Being a part of a group, being a part of society, for a lot of people can be very, very important. Being able to be seen as someone who is worthy of love and life and everything that we get to enjoy on earth is it can be conditional sometimes, and sucks. It's terrible. It sucks. And so it makes it so that people often hold a huge part of themselves aside, because they want to survive. They want to live, and they want to be loved, and they want to be accepted. So coming out is something that I feel like can be a huge privilege, because not everybody feels safe enough to do so. Not everyone feels strong enough or independent enough to do so. So when I make this video, I know that I am in a place where I am safe enough to do this, and I don't take that for granted. My mouth is so dry. I need a beverage. Jar Club. I decided to make this video in a complete naked face because I felt like it made sense to be raw in this raw video, got a cold chill. I'm going to begin by coming out. My sexuality has been a mystery to me for a really long time. A really young sprig of mint, I thought that girls were the most beautiful things in the world. I barely noticed that boys existed. It was just girls were just perfect and gorgeous and amazing. And puberty, and I noticed that boys existed. Then I definitely went back and forth between having stronger attraction to boys or stronger attraction to girls, and noticing androgynous people in my teens and being like, okay, what's this about? You know what I mean? It's like discovering different types of people and different ways of being attracted to people was really interesting. And in my teens, I was pretty sure I was bisexual, and then when I discovered pansexuality in my early 20s, I was like, no, I think that makes sense. It makes more sense for me. I wasn't a very sexually active person. I wasn't interested in sex until I was in my 20s, and I wasn't really interested in being romantic at all. I didn't really want to get married. I never wanted to get married. I didn't want to have children. I wanted to be a solo flyer my whole life, lone wolf, I just felt like that was the safest thing to do. I felt like I was the only person that I could count on, and I felt like I was the only person that understood me. I felt like no one would really understand me. And that was probably a result of me being autistic. I didn't recognize that until a couple of years ago. I had a very strong sense of being very, very alone, and just being very misunderstood. Masking was never something that I've been able to really do as well as some other people, and so I've always been just kind of weird, always been just kind of a weird guy, a weird loner. And so I just kind of figured that was how my life was going to be. Then I started exploring more once I found out that there were so many more options when it comes to sexuality and love and romance and platonic love and all of these different facets of the emotional body. And I went through so many phases of thinking maybe I'm aromantic because I love everyone the same. I love everyone in the same way. I recognize that I didn't have a separate feeling for the love I had for like a boyfriend or a girlfriend as the love I had for my best friend or a really close friend or even my brother, So that was really confusing for me because I didn't really think that I needed to have a separate type of love for everyone until people started asking me about that. Partners started being like, you seem to treat me the same way you treat your friends. What is the difference? And I was like, So once I started thinking about that and delving into that, I realized that I do have an incredible amount of love to give. And I have always wanted to love more people. But because of the amount of trauma I had as a child, I was afraid to be physically touched or even emotionally touched by other people, because I thought that would just lead to pain, or it would lead to me being abandoned or left behind in some sort of way. Really trying to wrap my head around all of these feelings and trying to understand, like, what is trauma? Am I not interested in physical contact or physical touch because of trauma, or because I'm asexual, or because I'm demisexual and I need to know the person more, or because I'm gray sexual? Maybe sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. I don't know, and it went back and forth for such a long time. Or is it hormones, because for the longest time I would be really, really attracted to women, but not at all attracted to men. And then, like, I would have some, like, hormonal shifts and be super duper attracted to men only. Like, it's so weird. It's so bizarre. It led me questioning just so much about what is the body and what is the mind and what is the spirit, and how are they like, commingling to create my existence and what I recognize as who I am. It was really difficult to go through all of those things and try to figure out what that means. And magic and witchcraft have helped me so much in my journey to just really center myself and focus on something that felt, very visceral and very, like, sacred to me, in order to really get back to, like, what's going on all up in here. Exploring my sexuality was really frustrating because I didn't really want to put labels on myself. I don't like putting labels on anything, because nothing is black or white. Everything is just kind of like what it is, plus your experience, plus your feelings about it. So it's hard to say definitively like who you are or what you are. But I did recognize that the amount of love that I have and the amount of love that I want is like more. It's more. I love being in love, and I love seeing people in love, and I love being surrounded by love. And even though I am a gray sexual person, I do love affection. I love being hugged, and I love being held, and I love being treated like I'm precious, and I love treating other people like they're precious, and I love that so much. And it made me feel like hyper romantic. Is there a hyper romantic? I'm like, is there something that makes someone feel like they just want to be in love with everyone in their life? Because that's how I feel. That's how I feel. I remember being, in my 20s and exploring polyamory because I was like, I have so much love to give. And even though I do also like my space, so much of my space, I also really love being able to be supportive and loving and comforting and nurturing to people. And now in my 40s, I realize that that's how I feel. That is how I feel. I want more love in my life. I want to give more love and be present with people and just have more close and meaningful connections with people. And so I'm coming out as a gray sexual, polyamorous, non-binary witch who is also autistic. And all of those things combined make me such a unique and interesting person. I say that because for the longest time, all of those things combined made me feel like a weird and unlovable person. And that is 100% untrue. You know, it's untrue. Our differences make us so incredibly lovable, you know? All of that with just brown eyebrows on. I hope you could take me seriously. I feel like there's so much more life to explore than what we're like presented with, you know? And I think that it's important to really explore as much as you can as, you know, as a spirit having a human experience. This is like such a huge role, and there's so many ways to engage with it, and there's so many ways to engage with each other. And I think that it's important to try that, you know? Being an ace makes polyamory different, you know, because I don't want the same things that other people want. I want closeness and I want affection, but I don't want, like, you know, sex. I don't. It's difficult. It has been difficult exploring this so far. But Mr. Mint is 100% on board. This isn't something that we're doing separately or anything. We are an incredibly loving couple. We love each other so much, and we just want to share more of that love with people in a completely wholesome and not weird way. I call it oatmeal, our kind of love. we just want an oatmeal family. We want more love, more nurturing, more support in our lives. And it's just like having a nice warm oatmeal bowl of love. Finding someone who is like an oatmeal witch, it's very difficult to find someone who I feel really meshes with the kind of love and the kind of life that we live, and the kind of life that I live, of like love and kindness and magic and making things better and creating better experiences. And it's difficult to find people who are also aligned with that, but I am searching, and it is a beautiful and interesting journey, and it's a very magical journey as well. I'm excited to share that with you guys. But back to coming out, and back to the magic and the ritual of coming out, and how it feels to be someone who has this, I don't know if secret is the right word. It doesn't feel like secret. It feels so much heavier than secret. It feels like you have this blanket, you know, it's like an invisible blanket, and you hold it around you, and, you know, people can't see it when you're worried that they can. Sometimes you're worried that they can get a glimmer of your blanket. It's like a big, beautiful quilt, and sometimes you're scared that they see a bit of your blanket and they'll judge you for the way that it looks or the way that you've sewn it together or something, and you're scared to present it to people. But once people can see it, once people can see the entire tapestry that is you, it feels so good to like turn your blanket into a cloak and to wear it with pride, you know. But it is hard. It is really, really hard. It's difficult and it's scary, and it can make you feel very alone. And I want people to know that you're never alone. You're not alone. Your blanket is beautiful, and you've sewn it beautifully. It looks so gorgeous. And even though it may be scary to show it to the world, know that it is yours, and that you have the right and you have the power to share it with whoever you want to share it with, you know. 100% yours. Coming out as a witch is very, very, very scary, because it is still something that people look down upon. It's something that people don't understand, and people will just refuse to listen to reason when it comes to magic a lot of the time. When it comes to like learning cultural magic or learning about your own traditional cultural practices and stuff like that, people are so close-minded to that sort of thing because it's so frowned upon, because people's lives were taken because of their own exploration into these subjects, and that's why people are so afraid to talk about it. They're so afraid to accept it because of murder, you know, because people were literally killed, and they don't want their children or their sisters or their brothers or their cousins or their wives or their husbands to be seen as someone whose life should be taken away because of something that they do, because of a spiritual practice, and it's scary. And because of, ignorance, people don't know the truth about a lot of these spiritual and folk magic practices. And so in order to protect themselves from the evils that will seep out of the words if you use them, they just don't explore it. They just don't learn about it, and you've been told, I've been told, so many people have been told that if you even so much as like study or explore or try to educate yourself about these subjects, the demons will come out of the pages and get you. You've been opened up, and now blah blah blah. You've been opened up to education. You've been opened up to knowledge. You've been opened up to the truth, and that's very scary, because then you start to think for yourself. Oh, very scary. But alienation is also very scary. Being alienated is so scary. Being abandoned by your family and by people who love you, that's terrifying. And so I also understand when people decide not to share their spiritual practice, because it is something that can put you on a completely different plane than the people around you. And that's scary. I truly applaud those who step forward in their practice and say, this is what I do, this is what I know, this is what I'm learning, and this is what's good for me. And I also applaud everyone who still practices something that is sacred to them in secret, and still has that special bond with the divine in secret, because that is also incredibly brave. We are all incredibly brave to be living our truth and to be doing things in a way that makes us feel absolutely authentic to ourselves. And that authenticity does not change just because you are keeping a part of yourself hidden. It just means that there are things that you are still willing to compromise on with the people around you, and that takes a different type of strength. I am not putting any makeup on. I'm just talking. I am just blah blah blah. This eyebrow looks so much thicker than that one. Why didn't you tell me? Didn't you tell me, bestie? I like having brown eyebrows, though. I think it makes me look friendlier than having like darker eyebrows, like black eyebrows. I would like to have green eyebrows. Should I do green brows today? Got the Plant Gay palette. I think this has, it has this one called Botanista. Ooh, la la. This one, which looks really light right now, but I think that it will work really well for a brow for me if I mix it with some other darker colors. Let's give it a swirl. Let's give it a whirl. Oh, I don't know, folks. I feel like Groucho Marx. This one is thick. I think if this one's thinner, it would be better. Yeah, this eyebrow is just like, hello, friends. I'm your eyebrow. That's better. I like that. Let's talk about being autistic. So there are many ways that I started recognizing my neurodivergence. I started recognizing things in myself that I was reading about while studying autism for Yule, understanding more about Yule and understanding, different ways to engage with him and different ways to talk with him and understand him and stuff like that, and really seeing that all of these things were ways that I wish people had tried to engage with me as a child. There were a lot of instances in my childhood where I felt incredibly misunderstood and where I couldn't express myself fully, and it was just because I had my brain was different. I was thinking differently and my priorities were different. I was such a huge loner child, I was obsessed with medicinal plants. That's all I could think about was medicinal plants and meditation and martial arts. Those are my major hyperfixations. Everyone's on the swings like, I want a whole new world, a dazzling place. And I'm literally on the ground meditating, trying to transcend. Like, come on. I was such a weird child. My parents did not understand me. We barely spoke. Because what would they say to me? I was meditating. As a child, I was taking folklore and fairy tales and mythology at its word, you know? I'm saying this is real. I'm reading about it. This is in books. People believed this once. Why don't you still believe it? You know? And so it just became a reality for me. And I think that has a lot to do with having a neurodivergent mind and believing and making sense of things because they have a structure, and that structure makes sense in my world, you know? Fascinating. It's fascinating to think about those types of things. As a 20-something-year-old having to wear uniforms at work and being viscerally like angry about it, quitting jobs and freaking out because they had these weird structures that I did not like and I would not do, and I would refuse to wear this or do this or say this because it didn't make sense, because it didn't logically actually add up to what it should have. And so I would say no. And people would say, just do it. Why can't you just do the job? Why can't you just wear the uniform? Because I can't. Because it's not a representation of who I am, and so it's wrong, and so I can't do it. So it will make me crazy. Yeah, you know? So many things like that pop up, and I'm like, oof. I'm so glad to be able to understand myself better now, because now I can give myself more grace when I take a long time to come back from something that hurts me, or when I am having like super sensory overload, when there's like so many people making noise and talking, and there's smells and there's sounds and there's like, you know, vibrations, and I'm like, it feels terrible, you know. Now I can give myself grace and understanding in those spaces, and I can be patient with other people in those spaces as well. I've opened up my heart so much more to people when I realize that they are uncomfortable for different reasons, and they are expressing that discomfort in different ways. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it just makes me feel so much more compassionate, because I'm like, this person probably just needs to be approached in a different way, or this situation could be handled differently if people were being more understanding of other people's feelings or other people's experiences right now. You know, it really just opens up my mind to so much more, and I'm grateful for that. Grateful. I was watching this like polyamorous family TikTok, and the comments were so rude, and it made me so nervous. Like, wow, people really don't understand, you know, what it's like to just want to have more love and more support in your life. And I don't know why it's so hard for people to get. I mean, I get like the stigma because of like TV and stuff, but like when you really think about it, is it really that weird? A lot of people live with their parents or their siblings and have like, you know, they have children and they live with their uncles and their grandma, and they have so much more love in their life daily. They have so much more support. The parents can like go out because they have other people there to support them, and you know, you just have another person or other people that love you and care for you and care for your children too. And I don't know why that seems bizarre, because it doesn't. I think people have this idea of like sharing and all of that, and then I don't want to share, but I'm not jealous. I'm not a jealous person, because sex is like not that important to me, you know. It's a great way to connect with people, and it's very interesting to me. And even if it is like an exciting thing for people to have an extra partner in bed with them, so what? You only live one time, you know? Eat the cake, like Dodie says. I really do enjoy having like deep conversations and deep relationships with people, especially with women who are like just like on the same level of kindness and joy and happy, loving life energy as me, you know. I love being able to commune with other fairies, and I would love for one of those fairies to be my girlfriend so we can go on dates and stuff. Also, I know plenty of people who are in love with their best friend and who wouldn't want to live with their best friend. Then again, it's just not for everyone, obviously, you know. Nothing is for everyone. Everyone's different. Everyone has a different idea of how they want to live their life and how they want to experience this interesting blue-green orb. I'm going to an art show tonight, and I'm very excited. So I get to dress up and look a little bit maniacal, which I enjoy. Wonderful Philadelphia art that I love supporting. Speaking of supporting my friends, I have finally opened up a Patreon, and I'm so excited. I didn't realize how much I would love being on Patreon. I didn't realize that it was going to be like a secret club for us where we could just talk and I can just put all my little secret things, but I'm going to have all kinds of fun behind the scenes, like trips and like photo shoots and events, any kind of events that I go to. We'll be having meetups and stuff like that, and all of those announcements will go on to Patreon first. Patrons also get discounts on any Mint Fairy merch and anything on the Etsy shop as well. And it's just a wonderful and incredible way to help to support me and the work that I do, and to keep me making videos and keep spreading love and joy and magic all over the world. So if you're interested in joining us over at Patreon, go ahead and click the link in the description box. So thank you so much to the people who are already here, you who have already joined my little Patreon egg family. Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to talking to you guys more about it. Should we pull a card? 9 of Swords reversed. I mean, I'll take a 9 of Swords reversed for today. I love improving. I love becoming better versions of myself. It feels good. It feels nice. I didn't film an outro to this, but bye!